No. 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 No! Yes, that was my initial reaction to discovering the dreaded Undertale fandom. Back in the late year of 2015, a little indie game was released by the name of Undertale. Yeah, don't know if you've heard about it, it's a rather small game.
Hello everybody, my name is Markiplier and welcome to
Top of the morning, ladies, my name is Jacksepticeye and welcome to Undertale! A lot of people have
Hey guys, welcome to Undertale!
Because
Like most indie games we see, it was initially brought to life thanks to the magic of Kickstarter, with a fairly humble goal of only $5,000. It had already reached its goal within a single day, and in 10 hours reached over 200% of that goal. With it finally settling down on a small loan of $51k, it was yet to be seen how the quality of this Kickstarter would turn out. Would it be akin to Shovel Knight, delivering on all their promises to bring us a truly amazing game? Or would it be on the Yog Ventures side of things? Yeah, anyone remember that pile of shit? How did they get away with that? Well, after its release, the game just practically blew up and became insanely popular, thanks to every Jacksepticeye or Marky Mark playing the game in their Let's Plays. It all combined to help this small little indie game go practically everywhere. You go on YouTube, there it is. You go on Twitter, there it is. Hey, nice fan art. You go on DeviantArt. Actually, let's just skip that one, you know, we really don't need to go there. You go on 4chan. Wait, that's even worse! The point is, you could go anywhere and see Undertale related content there. Whether you actually like or dislike Undertale, I think it's safe to say there's something to be admired when such a small project as this one becomes bigger than even some AAA titles released that year. You gotta give some respect for Toby Fox on this one. But with all popular games, there comes the bad. Fandoms. Now, I'm not gonna pretend like Undertale's fandom is exactly good. Of course, this doesn't mean everyone in the fandom is this bad or annoying, but unfortunately, much like YouTube comments, it's the loud majority that attract the attention. With Undertale spreading everywhere, along with many comics, fandubs, fan art, cover songs, you name it, it essentially covered itself across the internet just as much as Five Nights at Freddy's and Cuphead did. And now a good few years down the line of Undertale's launch, it's almost become a laughingstock. People who have never even played the game will call it shit, based on memes or cringy things from the fandom they've seen. You see this stuff everywhere, pretty much on every single social media. But in my eyes, I don't think this is really fair. Because of this horrible fandom, Undertale has gotten a lot of negative stigma and press, which I'm here to defend in a way. I have no shame in saying that Undertale is probably in my top 10 games of all time, and is by far my favorite RPG. Then again, I don't really play RPGs much anyways, but that's just a testament to how much I enjoy this game. Before I get started, I should stress that this video will include a few spoilers, so if you don't want to be spoiled, then go play the actual fucking game and then come back. Or don't. I mean, you don't have to, I guess, but come on, the game's like $10. Surely you can afford that. Anyways, enough stalling. Let's get into why Undertale is actually amazing. Of course, you can't really have an RPG without a good story. It's like having peanut butter with no jelly. It would be like Scooby without Shaggy. It would be like Ike without Mike. Oh wait, that one already happened. But the point is, you can't have an RPG without a good story. You just can't. To sum up Undertale's plot, you're a human who's fallen down a hole into the monster world, where these monsters have been imprisoned from the surface after a terrible war where they were forced underground. From there on, you're on your quest to find a way back to the surface world once again. So, a fairly standard plot. You have a clear goal, there's a world that's actually built within the first minute of the game, and it's yours to explore. On your way, you'll meet many colourful characters, some characters like Toriel and Flowey, who introduce you into the world, and their personalities have a lot of nuance and intrigue that makes you want to learn more about them. Characters like Sans, who offer some comedic relief with some sinister undertones. Or characters like Alphys, who are fucking annoying. Seriously, does anyone like this bitch? Come on, raise your hands if you like her. Yeah, you're a fucking liar. But I mean, it's really down to your own opinions which characters you like or dislike, but there's so many main, secondary, and regular characters to encounter, so there'll be something here for everyone. I think there's something to be said with how the game actually starts off. You have a clear reason for being in the world that's already explained to you. It's not like you're just randomly there. You've had your backstory, you've had your pizza pie, you know what you gotta do, and now it's time to get started. So you go on ahead and meet your first character of the game, Flowey. On your first playthrough, you're gonna be thinking, oh, this is a friendly guy who just gives you the tutorial. Oh, he looks cute enough, look at his little leaves, oh, what a swell fella. So you'll harmlessly follow this guy's instructions, not expecting much, until... And just like that, it's clear to you almost instantly what sort of game this is. It's one that subverts your expectations, which isn't a new concept by any means, but I still think Undertale's handling of this theme warrants praise. At a first glance, this looks to be a very cutesy world, but in actuality, is a more merciless world than you'd originally think, at least for a human. Eventually, you're saved by Toriel, who is the actual tutorial giver. Oh wait, that's like a play on words, I just realized that. Of course, this tutorial is pretty much useless, which is more or less highlighting her overly caring personality and making her character more grounded. She takes you in, gives you a warm bed, and even a slice of pie for crying out loud. You're out here living the good life. But after asking her when you can go home, she hurries off. And with no other way to progress, you head down the one route available to you. Of course, she tries to stop you and then battle ensues. And you, thinking back to every single JRPG or regular RPG you've played, think, oh, of course, I'll just attack her and it'll stop before it actually kills her. Consequence. This is the main driving force behind Undertale as a whole. Everything in this game is built around the idea of this one theme. It's nothing new to gaming, there's plenty of consequence in many games, most notably dialogue choice-centric games such as the Telltale series. But in an indie game such as this, it's practically unheard of. Even if you're some sort of psychopath who can't tell you've done something fucked up, the sudden cut of music, just fitted with that slice of your knife, drives it home all the more. And as she utters her final words and fades into dust, you realize, man, I'm a fucking monster. And this feeling is all throughout the game. Whether it's the bosses or simply killing a little minion, you can't help but feel like a prick. And of course, with this consequence comes the three infamous routes that have helped make Undertale a smash hit. Those three, of course, being the neutral, pacifist, and genocide runs. Now, you're probably going to be doing the neutral run at first, not really knowing there are even 3 different endings in the first place. This playthrough is the most boring one, and really just hasn't got too much interesting going on. Oh, well, yeah, besides that, I mean, what do you want, a medal? Now, compared to the pacifist run, you don't really feel the weight of consequence because, well, the point of this run is to avoid it. But in return, you get to see more of all these characters, and it really does help humanize them. And the ending to this run, oh, I don't really feel less manly in saying a tear was shed during the ending of this. I mean, if Etika is gonna cry over this, then I feel we're all excused, really.
Hold back the tears. Hold back the tears.
The genocide run, on the other hand, is probably the most interesting in terms of its themes. You come out of this run feeling like the biggest psycho ever, basically becoming the Hitler of the underground. This run is full of consequence. You feel it instantly the first time you see and hear that dreaded, but no one came. And when you walk into Snowden just to see no one around, they all ran from the incoming threat that is you. And as you walk through, that humming drone starts to play and your brain starts trying to work out, I mean, am I really the bad guy in all of this, you know? Maybe those guys deserve it. I mean, it's a free country. Maybe a bit more people die. Maybe more people need to die, you know? I could go into more detail about this feeling of consequence in the story in general, but we'd be here for hours. The point is, the story of Undertale has always felt to me very fleshed out and realized, from the plot twists that unfold before you, your choices that massively change your gameplay experience, and the other little things that all add up to make this an amazing game. But a good story isn't enough to keep me interested in a game. For a game to be amazing, it needs to of course have some good gameplay to complement it. Now, as far as RPGs go, Undertale isn't exactly too different from the norm. You have different items you can pick up and use throughout your quest, whether they be simple healing items or other various goods. You can change your weapon, depending on what run you do of course, and like many RPGs, the style of combat you're stuck with is that of turn-based. Turn-based combat in video games has always been an odd place for me. With games like Pokemon, Final Fantasy, and many others hone in this style, I can't help but feel it's always been rather boring and tedious. If you really think about it, you choose a move, wait for that person to use their move, and repeat. Where's the gameplay? It's fine if you like this kind of stuff, but to me, when there's so many other games that offer way more fun ways to do combat, movement, or just gameplay in general, then I never really feel a want to play these types of games. Why spend precious hours doing mundane move selections when I can play TF2 and blow up a guy and his family? But of course, I wouldn't be saying this if Undertale didn't do at least something right with this style of game, because they've done a very simple thing in making their gameplay feel fun and fresh compared to any other turn-based title. Instead of just choosing a move, you have to wait for the slider to hit for the optimal or less optimal damage. It adds some level of control for the player instead of just picking a move, but what I think stands out more is the dodging system. Taking the overall mechanics from bullet time games, it adds a whole new level of intensity and does service the gameplay massively. Every single monster has their own style of attacking, so the list of things you'll have to dodge honestly never ends. You could be dodging fire, bones, radishes, mussels, the list goes on. And it's not like it's all one-dimensional either. There's blue attacks they have to stay still for, orange ones to move through, Undyne has some sort of like Dance Dance Mania type attacks, you name it. Although there's only one form of actual attacking, this very dodging that takes place really does add variety to the gameplay, and is initially what got me interested in the game when I first saw it on Donkey's channel. It isn't however perfect. I'll be the first to admit that even though with all this variety, the combat itself is still rather linear due to the nature of the game. In more traditional turn-based games like Pokemon or Final Fantasy, you have to actually plan your moves, keeping in mind their damage, type advantage, and other factors. The point is, in Undertale, there's none of that really, just one mode of attack. It doesn't really leave a lot of room for any kind of strategy, which to some people may be a downside. However, I'd argue that it was designed this way in order to keep the focus more on the story. I still find that even with this one negative, the bullet time feature is enough to keep me engaged, and really helps the game shine and stand out from the crowd. It's definitely what makes Undertale my favorite turn-based game. But what are one of the things that Undertale has always been fairly universally praised for? It's of course the music. One of the things Undertale is most widely known for is its impressive gallery of music scores. I mean, the actual OST has a whopping 101 tracks, which while sure, some are only like a few seconds long, it's still impressive for an indie game. That's like a few albums worth, that's nothing to scoff at. Hell, some AAA games don't even have this many tracks, so the fact that Toby managed to make this much just shows his passion and skill when it comes to music, which has been demonstrated time and time again as his biggest strength. A big testament to how widely loved this soundtrack is by the fact that every track has at least 2 million views, which honestly for a game soundtrack is stupidly rare. But what does make these songs so good? Well, besides the fact that Toby Fox has had many years of experience making music for projects like his Earthbound Halloween ROM hack, and of course Homestuck itself, I think the one thing that I personally love about this soundtrack is every song feels like it has a purpose, emotion, or feeling it's trying to drive home. You have songs that make you feel relaxed and calm. You have songs that make you feel ominous and mysterious. Songs that make you feel happy. Songs that make you feel determined. Songs that make you feel sad. Songs that make you feel I could go on and on with this, but the point is, every song in this beautiful 101 track score serves a purpose, and there's a song for almost every emotional feeling you could think of. Because of this, it works perfectly with the actual gameplay and story at hand. Of course, most games are made this way, but I don't think as many scenes in Undertale would have been as impactful without the music. The ending fight against Azrael is just made into this amazingly hype and flashy final battle thanks to the addition of this amazing score, and just feels like this is the final challenge. Or how Asgore's theme helps to give the sheer sense of how strong his will actually is. His music just sounds like the theme a king would have. Even Megalovania, which, okay sure, has been memed to death at this point. Who's there? But come on, you can't help but admit this theme and all its various renditions that Toby has used works perfectly as a final boss theme. With its various drops and other breakdowns, it just works for a final boss, which is why I think Toby has recycled this so many times. This OST is clearly well loved for a reason, no matter how memeable it may have become. I still regard it as one of the best indie games or even video games has to offer. And to me it feels like a lot of the overworld songs Undertale has to offer just cultivate with the environment. For example, the theme that plays in Toriel's home helps complement the warm colors by making you feel right at home, which in turn makes you feel all the sadder once you do actually have to leave. The waterfall area makes you feel uneasy yet intrigued. It looks almost surreal compared to the first few areas. And as such, this music completely sets the tone needed. The music for the Heartland area is much more of a techno mix, which fits in with the theme of science and technology that this area conveys. So it just feels, at least to me, that a lot of the music used in the game is always trying to benefit the actual gameplay in some way, whether that be with the story, the gameplay, or the atmosphere. All of these elements combined help make a soundtrack that isn't easy to forget. Even if you don't like Undertale, you probably at least remember a few of the songs. I think as far as indie games go, Undertale's OST is up there with Shovel Knight and Hotline Miami's, an incredible set of tracks that I can always come back to and appreciate. The music also helps in realizing my next point, which is that of making the world feel alive. One of the last things I want to touch on here is how the world is made to feel alive in Undertale. Except for Sans and Papyrus because they're dead. But I believe one of the biggest testaments to this is with its characters. Now, you have quite a varied cast of main characters, followed by an even more varied cast of side characters, and an even more varied cast of miscellaneous ones. Some you may encounter various times throughout your journey, while others you'll only encounter once, but every single one manages to leave a lasting impression on you. The reason for this is because every character has their own clear motives and personalities that all get reflected onto you within your first encounters. For example, when you first meet Papyrus and after you part ways, near the end of the game you may be thinking of your boneheaded friend. Or you wonder what may have happened if you let Toriel live at the beginning. Because all of these characters leave such an impact on you, it feels like you've spent more time with them than you actually have. You feel like you spend a lot of time with Papyrus, but it really isn't long in the grand scheme of the game. They also fit into the theme of consequence once again. For example, undying at your first encounter seems like a merciless, cold-killing machine, following orders like some robot. But in the pacifist run, once you actually get to spend some time with her without getting a spear in your ass, she actually turns out to be a pretty regular person with some actual personality. Because of your choices, instead of killing these characters and never learning more about them, you are rewarded for sparing them by being able to learn more about them, which just helps make the world feel more alive and realized. And it's not even just the main characters I feel this with. The world is full of so many little things that all add up to making this world feel full of life. You have characters who are pretty much pointless in the grand scheme of things, like this little bird. It literally serves no purpose and I still love him. Or how about how every random encounter has their own unique dialogue to help talk them out of a fight, fitted with their own personalities to set them apart from the rest of the creatures. Normally a developer wouldn't add much stuff like this, but it just goes to show the amount of passion and thought applied here. Everything as well just feels connected. You see it especially in the pacifist run where everyone in the world bands together, even the random mobs, to help fight against Flowey. And at the end of the game, if you really want to, you can go back and talk to literally every single character you've met along your journey, and each one will have something different to say about finally going back to the surface. And in the genocide run, characters will flee from areas to escape you, which shows the effect you have on this world. It just makes everyone feel connected to the events of the game, and thus, it feels like a breathing world. Jesus, I sound like an IGN reviewer. But those 4 points I'd say are the main reasons why I hold Undertale at such a high regard, and shrug it off when someone may say I'm a retarded, dribbling freak for liking this game. I mean, of course, they're not wrong. I am truly a disgusting freak. But I don't have any shame in saying I love Undertale, and if you don't, then that's completely fine. But what isn't fine is disliking it for the unjustified reason of its fanbase. I think we can all agree that fan bases, for the most part, are awful. I can only think of a small few communities for games that are actually alright, but every fandom is either full of assholes, full of cringe, or a bit of both. It's not the game developer's fault by any means. These people are just attracted to the game, and sometimes they tarnish its name. Not everyone in a fandom is inherently bad, but as said, it's the vocal minority that ruins it. But this is my problem. A fan base does not equal a game's quality. If you judge a game purely because of its fanbase, then you are a huge loser, to put it lightly. Realistically, a fanbase has quite literally no effect on the quality of any piece of media you consume, so it's not fair in the slightest when people shit on a game like this purely because of the actions of its fanbase. Take this as an example. I really do not like Five Nights at Freddy's. Its fanbase is pretty horrid and is just as cringy as the Undertale fandom. But what you have to understand is, their fandom has no weight on if I actually like the game or not. Personally, I dislike Five Nights at Freddy's because it is a boring game. You sit there and look at monitors for a good few minutes, fitted in with some cheap jump scares. Now Minecraft is a true horror game. The game just does not appeal to me in the slightest, and that is fine. But its fanbase, while bad, does not affect my opinion on the game whatsoever. I think it's fine to dislike Undertale if you want, as long as you have given it the time of day, played it for a bit and said, you know what, this really isn't for me. Then good for you, man. Go play a game you actually enjoy and criticize Undertale fairly. But if you're gonna needlessly shit on a game that you have never even played because its fanbase posted some strange art that you disliked, then I'm sorry, but never play video games ever again, because every single fanbase is shit in its own way, whether that's cringy art, toxicity, or whatever else it may be. If we really judge games this way, then I doubt I would play any video games at all. Basically, what I'm getting at here is judge a game based on its own merits, okay? Hey, thanks for watching! If you liked this video, be sure to subscribe and hit the like button. Feel free to comment your thoughts and perhaps check out some of my other videos. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram, join my Discord, the links are below. And with that, I'll see you later, boys.